How's it going, everyone? Yosef back here with another video, and I hope you're having an amazing week so far. Today, we are going to do something a little bit different. We are going to talk about how to buy a new car. The reason why I wanted to make this video is a lot of people around me have lately been going out and trying to buy new cars, and they've been struggling with where do I start? How do I do it? How do I come up with the decision? What's the right way to find the vehicles that I'm looking for? How do I negotiate the deal? All that kind of stuff. So today, we are going to cover all of that in a quick driving video. So if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Yosef. I happen to be a car enthusiast with 3 kids, and I used to sell cars in the past. So if you're interested in my perspective, please subscribe. All right, now on with the video. Okay, let's go for our drive, and we're going to talk about this because it is really important to know how to buy a car. Now, to start things off, there are a few very important tips that I have for you. Number one, when you go out to buy a car, you must have a budget in mind. This is probably the most important thing. A lot of people go out there and say, oh, I want to buy a new car. They don't really know how much cars go for. They don't know what car they want. They don't have any concept of what the expenses are going to look like, what the payments could look like, any of that. And so they go into dealerships completely unaware, and then in the end, they're just shocked by everything, and it's very overwhelming, and they don't know where to put their money or what's worthwhile and what isn't. So, tip number one, before you go out and buy a car, come up with a budget. How much are you willing to spend on this thing? How much are you willing to spend on it in total in terms of cost of ownership? But as well, how much are you willing to spend on it just in terms of those monthly payments if you're planning on financing? The second most important tip that I have for people when they go out to buy a car is figure out what you want. Now, this is a big topic, but it's really important, and a lot of people don't give any thought to this. They say, oh, well, I have an idea. I really want to get a Mazda 3 or a Honda CR-V or a Toyota RAV4 or something like that, but they have no concept of, what features do I really care about? Is it a hybrid? Do I want a hybrid? Do I want an electric car? Do I want a normal internal combustion engine car? A lot of people have no concept of what they want. And so when they go to the dealership and the dealer says, oh, I can get you a deal for $50 extra or something, So when you go to the dealership and they say, hey, I can get you this deal for $500 a month and it fits within your budget and all of that, you don't know if you're getting all the features and the stuff that you want. And the other reason why that's important is not just from the negotiation perspective, but it also really helps make sure that you don't have buyer's remorse. A lot of times people go out and buy things and they don't realize, do I really need that? Is that really important to me? Or am I just paying for something that is too much? Or maybe I'm not getting the thing that I want, and even though I saved a little bit of money, doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be more happy with the purchase. Am I going to wish that I had that? So think about that a little bit when you're going to buy a car. What do you really want? The other thing that's going to really help you when you know what you want is when you're going and looking at all the different options that are out there, it's going to help you narrow that down really quickly. If you have a checklist of what's really important to you in terms of what you get in a vehicle and the purpose of the vehicle, it's going to help you figure out if you're buying the right car. When you're going out and buying a car, you have to know what the purpose of the vehicle is. So if you're buying a vehicle that you just want to maximize space, or maybe you want certain safety features, or maybe you really want the performance or the quality of materials, what's really important to you when you go out and buy a car? That is going to really help dictate which vehicles make sense to even look at and which ones you just want to skip over. There are so many vehicles that you can buy, so many prices and so many different trim levels and options that you'll go crazy unless you know exactly what you want. But when you narrow down that list of what's important to you and the purpose of the vehicle, that's going to really help make sure that you're getting the right vehicle for your situation and that you're not over or underspending as you do that. So make a checklist. And this is something that I highly, highly recommend to everybody. Make a checklist of what you want out of the vehicle. What's the purpose of it? Is price going to be the most important thing? Total cost of ownership, the overall features, reliability, depreciation, style, performance, driver engagement, comfort. There's so many things that are out there that are important when you're making your decision, know which ones are going to have the biggest impact on you and what you care most about, because that's going to really help differentiate all the different options that you have. And that's not just for new cars. If you're getting a used car, that holds true too. So really make a list for yourself around what's most important, force rank them. And then as you're looking for options, it'll help you figure out what is the best one. So outside of that, my next tip when you're going to buy a new car is figure out what inventory is available. A lot of times people go into dealerships and they say, oh, I want a white car with a black interior, but I also want the heads-up display and I want the one with the bigger engine. And that car doesn't exist. It's really hard to get, or you might have to wait 2 years for them to build it or bring it in or all that kind of stuff. But if you take a look online, you have the ability of seeing what inventory the dealers have. And that way you are a more informed buyer around what's potentially possible to get. And that also allows you to know which dealership should I go to and which one is going to have the specific vehicles that I want, so I can negotiate what I really want. And if they don't want to give you the deal that you want, you can go somewhere else. You know what's out there, you know what's available, you know what's your plan A, plan B, plan C, and it really helps you figure out also, do I have to go out of state or out of province or to a different city to be able to get the car that I want, or does the dealer have to make a dealer trade to be able to do that? It just makes you a more informed buyer. The bottom line is, the more information you have, the better off you're going to be. So how do you do this? You're probably asking. Well, the simplest way to do it is to go on a site called AutoTrader. If you're new to the car buying experience, whether it's new or used, there are a lot of different websites out there that do this, but AutoTrader is one of the best. Auto Tempest also searches a lot of other websites, but AutoTrader is the best in my opinion for new cars, because you have filters in there that you can filter for new cars, for used cars, for mileage, price, features, trim levels, all of that. So if you go in there and you search up the particular vehicle that you're looking for and you search up new vehicles, that'll help you figure out which dealers have those vehicles, how much they're selling them for, what features, what trim levels are available, all that kind of stuff, and whether it's in inventory or it's coming in. And then you can go onto the dealer's website and always take a look at more information about it. But take a look at AutoTrader. That's going to truly help you figure out where you're going to be able to get the vehicle from and if the vehicle that you want actually exists. On that note, when you go and buy the car, you're always going to be dealing with the dealer. They know the car and the prices better than you will ever know it. But that doesn't mean that you can't go in with a lot of knowledge and be able to wow them and make sure that they're not going to take you for a ride for what you're trying to get. And the best way to do that is learn your numbers. Go online, go to the dealer's website, figure out what the interest rates are, figure out if there are any added prices or fees that a dealer is going to charge, figure out how much the total manufacturer's suggested retail price will be, and that's how you know what the baseline will be for what you can start negotiating. That MSRP, or manufacturer's suggested retail price, is what you're going to be able to find on every manufacturer's website, every dealership's website, when you go into the configurator and you build your car. Go do that. Price it out exactly the way that you would want it so that you can see how that works before you get into the dealership. And then you know, if I take a 36-month lease, or if I take a 39-month lease, or a 40-month lease, or a 48-month lease, you know if there's a sweet spot that's going to give you a better price, better residual, and if you're paying cash, how much can I negotiate? Are there any special discounts that are going on right now? Is there a loyalty bonus that I can take advantage of? Is there some other feature price-wise that allows me to maximize my dollars and get a better deal? Once you have that information, you can then go to the dealer and say, look, here's what the MSRP is, here's what I believe is a fair price for what I'm looking for, and that will allow you to make sure that you're getting, again, the best price for the vehicle, and that you're getting the price for the features and all the things that you want, and you're not leaving anything on the table. Now, I'm going to take a moment here to talk a little bit about the negotiation and when you should go buy a car, because so far we've talked about how do you select the vehicle, how do you also sort of figure out the pricing and the features and all of that. When you go to negotiate the deal, you always want to have that pricing information handy. You also should go towards the end of the month to get the best possible deal. When you buy a car at the end of a month, the dealers are always looking at closing off their month and getting the most amount of deals in so that they can get the kickbacks from the manufacturers. And they'll be a lot more willing to give you a discount and sell you the car at a lower price if that means that it's going to help them get over a threshold to get that kickback from the manufacturer. So when you're going out to buy the car, think about timing. When do you need the vehicle? How soon do you need to have it? And can you wait for a particular time in the month or the end of the calendar year to be able to purchase that vehicle? And if you plan things out properly, you can probably save yourself a lot more money by doing that than going in on a random day and just trying to go get a deal. The dealers will always tell you that the programs, all the discounts and pricing information, all of that changes every month, and that's 100% true. It may change or it may not change, but they'll get an update about that every month, and it's important for you to be aware of that so that when you're making your deal, you know, is this something that I could get tomorrow if I wait, or should I get it today? That's really important to be aware of. Okay, so we talked a little bit about how to select the vehicle at the beginning. You know, do your homework, figure out what purpose you want for the vehicle, the features that you want, understanding the pricing and the cost and all of that stuff. That's going to really help you figure out, again, what you want. But the bottom line is, before you make a purchase, before you buy a car, always go test drive. This is so important, and a lot of times, you know, people overlook this step and they say, oh, whatever, I don't really care. They all drive the same. It's all good. My friends have this car and they always tell me it's great, so I'm going to trust their judgment. Don't. Here's the reason. When you buy a car and you don't test drive it, not only do you not know how the car feels, if it has enough power for you, if there are enough storage cubbies, or if the seats are ergonomic, the driving position is comfortable, maybe the suspension makes you feel sick. There are a lot of reasons why a car may not be good, and you have to find that out for yourself. And the only way to really do that is either you buy the car and you drive it home and you realize after either it was great or it sucked, or you go out there and actually test drive the car before you buy it. There are many stories. My wife and I, before we bought our Mazda CX-9, we loved the Volvo XC90, and that was something my wife always dreamt of getting. She said, it's such a beautiful car, it looks great and everything. And my sister-in-law bought one and we drove it, and another friend of ours had one. And honestly, the suspension, the way it was tuned, it made her feel nauseous. And she thought, wow, it's a good thing I didn't buy that car because I would have not been able to drive that comfortably. Then we got our Mazda CX-9, and I'm not saying that it's the best driving car in the world, but you know, that felt better. It was more in tune with the way that she would like to drive a vehicle. And that was an important consideration. Had we not gone and test drove the Mazda and the Volvo, we never would have known which one would make her feel sick and what would be a better experience for her to drive. There are a lot of other issues that we've had with the CX-9 that are not perfect, but again, we knew what the purpose of the vehicle was, we knew what we were willing to give up, and what we cared about, what was important to us, so we were able to make a much more informed decision, and a decision based on what we cared about, so there was no buyer's remorse or regret from that purchasing decision. So test drive the cars. I know sometimes it's hard to find one, but take your time, don't just go around the block, take it on the highway. Maybe it's too loud, maybe it's too quiet. There's so many things that you want to test out before you own the vehicle. Make sure you do that. If you're going to be using it for kids related stuff, or you're going to use it for work, maybe you have a side hustle, bring stuff with you. You know, see if the car seats fit in the back. See if the things that you normally take with you, the strollers and stuff like that, fit in the trunk when the seats are folded or not. Know that before you go and buy the car. So test drive every time. It's going to make a world of a difference, and it's either going to solidify that all the homework that you've done until now makes sense and you're getting the right vehicle, or not, and it's going to put you back to the drawing board and you can go to plan B. The other tip that I'm going to give you about buying a vehicle that a lot of people don't think about, especially on new cars, check the insurance rates. We live in a very weird time right now. People steal cars all the time, and insurance rates can vary tremendously from manufacturer to type of vehicle and all of that. Make sure you do that homework before. Call up your insurance company and say, hey, I want to get a quote on whatever car it is that I'm interested in. Maybe you get a quote on 2 or 3 of them. This is part of your homework in figuring out the cost of the vehicle. Go talk to the insurance companies, because you may really want that Honda CR-V, but the insurance may be really high relative to a Mazda CX-5 because, well, Hondas get stolen a lot. And that's something that allows a lot of risk for the insurance companies. And so it may be more expensive for you to take than the Mazda CX-5, and that may factor into your decision, and it may not. But it's important to know, and being, again, a more educated buyer is going to help make sure that you make a good decision. Okay, now that we've covered all of the main tips around how you might want to select a vehicle and choose the right one and do your homework, let's talk a little bit about the negotiations. This is really, really important. We talked about you have to go find out the numbers and all of that stuff so that you're an informed buyer and the dealers don't take you for a ride. That's step number one. When you buy the vehicle also is step number two. If you do it at the end of the month, at the beginning of the month, at the end of a calendar year, also really, really important for the negotiations. But you can go a step further. When you go to negotiate a deal and you have a vehicle right now, if it's something that you're going to trade in, or you've decided if you're going to pay cash or finance or all that stuff, buying a car is kind of like going to the border or talking to an insurance company or a police officer. You give the information that you need to give, nothing more, nothing less. You don't want to give too much information because you don't want them to have something that they can then use against you. Here's what I mean by that. When you go into a dealership to make a purchase, you don't necessarily want to disclose whether you're going to finance, pay cash, or lease the car. The reason why you don't want to tell them that up front is you want to make sure that you're negotiating the car based on the total cost of the vehicle. Now, this is important because dealerships and salespeople make money on the financing and they make money on the leasing and the interest rates and all that kind of stuff. But if you secure the price of the vehicle before you talk about the monthly payments and all of that, no one's going to be able to screw around with the numbers and fit things in that otherwise you're not aware of. You want to know what the total value of the vehicle is that you're going to buy, and then you talk about the financing or the lease payments and all that stuff so that you get the right price for the vehicle that you're trying to get. So here's an example. If the car costs $35,000 and you want to negotiate it down to $32,000, that is going to have an impact on the payment of your vehicle, whether you're financing or leasing it. But if you start negotiating the payments first, they can make everything turn into a $400 a month payment or $500 a month payment. But the cost of the vehicle in the end might actually be $38,000 instead of the $32,000 or $34,000 that you really wanted to get. But the payments stay the same. So they can play around with the numbers, and a lot of people don't pay attention to that. They just go and say, I need to spend $400 or $500 a month or $600 a month. I can't go over that. That's my budget. But they don't really pay attention to what that does to the cost of the vehicle overall. So always negotiate the price of the vehicle first, and then you go and take a look, get them to sign off on that, and then you see how that works in the monthly payment. And again, you can play around with that in the online configurator for the manufacturer. You can look at what a down payment would look like on the vehicle. You can look at what the low kilometer lease versus the regular kilometer lease looks like, what interest rates and how they affect the cost of the vehicle overall. You can get a lot of that information in advance, but focus on negotiating the cost of the vehicle overall, and then look at the numbers on a monthly basis. The other thing that's really important is a lot of times people trade in vehicles. Let's say you have a used car that you're driving right now, and you want to trade that in and use that as equity towards your next vehicle. It's a great thing, but don't tell them that you're going to trade in that vehicle until after you've negotiated the price of the car. The reason for that is if you tell them, hey, right up front, I have a car that I'm looking to trade in, they're going to already start thinking about how can they play around with the numbers of your trade-in and the new car to get you into a deal, and not necessarily what's going to be the most cost-effective or best option for your vehicle and for your pocketbook. So when you go into a dealership and they ask you, hey, nice to meet you, what are you looking for? Do you have a vehicle right now that you're looking to trade? You say, look, I'm going to make a decision about what I want to buy. I don't know yet if I'm going to trade in my vehicle, and I'm not sure yet if I'm going to finance, lease, or pay cash for the car. It all depends on how the numbers are going to work out. That will get you a much better deal, and it'll make the salesperson realize, okay, this person's not messing around. They know what they're doing, and we're going to be a little bit more straight up with them. The other thing that's really important based on that is know how much your car is worth. If you are going to trade it in, have a good understanding of what the market value of your vehicle is. And the reason why I say that is a lot of times people go in and they have no concept of what their trade-in value is. Maybe you have a vehicle that's leased that has equity in it, and you can sell it instead of just trading it into the dealer. Before you make any of these decisions, go on AutoTrader or go on Auto Tempest or one of those other sites. I'm not sponsored by any of these, so I'm just telling you from my experience. Go figure out what your vehicle is worth. Put in the year, put in the make, the model, all of the kilometer information or mileage. So you're comparing apples to apples, and that will give you the retail value of how much your vehicle is worth. And based on that, imagine that you're probably going to lose $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 from the dealer, and that's what they're going to offer you. Use that number as a baseline for what you can expect the dealers to give you. And then you can negotiate up. You can say, hey, I'll give it to you $2,000 under retail, or whatever that number looks like after you've negotiated the price of your new car. And that way, you're not losing on one or the other. You get a fair deal on both, and you're going to end up being a lot more satisfied coming home with your new vehicle. A lot of people leave money on the table with leases. They lease their car, don't drive it very much. The residual value is set at a certain point, and maybe the market has dictated that it's worth more now than it was before. Sometimes there's an opportunity to sell that vehicle back to the dealer or to a different dealer, and you'll actually make money off of that instead of just handing it back and letting the dealer make all of that profit. Okay, the last tip that I'm going to give you about this is always ask. Don't be afraid to ask for things. You won't get unless you ask. And this is a life lesson, but it's also really important when it comes to buying a car. So many times people will go in and be, oh, I really want to get this, or I want a winter tire package, or I really want these mats, or, whatever it is. I want some other feature. If you don't ask if the dealer can throw it in or give you a better discount on it, they will never, ever offer it on their own. So don't be afraid to ask. The worst thing they can say is, no, I'm sorry, we can't do that. But at least you tried. Try. Ask for things. There's a lot of opportunity for getting other things built into the deal that are not necessarily discounts on the car to help give you more value as a purchaser that in a lot of cases you would never have expected or thought of had you not gone in and asked for it. So, for example, sometimes you negotiate the price of the car. It is what it is. You can't get any lower, and you're like, oh man, this really sucks. I really wanted an extra $1,000 or $2,000 off. Go and ask them, can they give you a discount on a warranty? Go ask them if they can give you a discount on a winter tire package or free maintenance on the car. Or maybe you want the winter mat package or paint protection film or rust proofing or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. What's valuable to you? What are some other negotiation features that you can ask for if it's not just about price? That's going to allow you to get a much better deal overall than just, again, taking whatever they give you and hoping for the best. A lot of times they can't negotiate the price down because, maybe the tariffs or other situations are going on, but you want to be able to get some other value-added features that don't cost the dealer a lot, or they have a lot of profit because they're dealer-installed options that they have the ability to discount for you or throw in for free or allow you to have a much sweeter deal and allow you to feel like you've done a little bit more for yourself to get a better price. So don't forget to ask. Don't be afraid to ask, even if it sounds ridiculous, and come up with a list of things that would be good for you that you would care about or like to have in the deal that you can use for those negotiations. So those are my big ticket items, the things that I believe are really important when it comes to purchasing a vehicle, how you make that decision, how you come to think of the right vehicle for you, and how you get the best deal possible based on the information that's available to you. We live in an age where there's so much information. Use it. Use AI, use ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever other tool you've got available to you. Use that information to help you get better knowledge of the car, the market, the different options that are available. Go to the dealer websites, use the configurators to build it, go on AutoTrader or Auto Tempest to find out what inventory is available. Use all the tools that are available to you, and you will be a much better, more informed buyer. You'll get better deals, and you'll also make sure that you're not going to have that buyer's remorse later on. And use those negotiation techniques that I talked about. Use the timing. Know that all that stuff is going to really impact how you get the right deal. Anyways, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I really wanted to do a car review, but it didn't work out for some reason. I won't go into details, but I had this as something that I wanted to talk about. I'll make another video at some point on how to buy a used vehicle. But for new, these are some of the best tips that I've gathered over the course of my career buying cars personally, but also selling cars as a dealer. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any other tips that you've experienced, go throw them in the comment section. Tell other people, share it with the crowd. And I hope that this helps you make better decisions moving forward. Thank you again for watching. Have an amazing rest of the week, and I'll catch you in the next video.